Hey everybody, back again. Another discussion. So, we're going to use this discussion with obviously your instructor and or classmates to summarize the common elements of troubleshooting process. What are the big picture conclusions you need to draw about the weapon regardless of what type of malfunction we are dealing with? Use the feedback and conclusions you draw from this discussion to prepare for the second assignment for week 7. Be sure to respond to the last two classmates of your classmates discussion. Alright, so let me find my mouse cursor. I have the M16 in the back just to go through and generally go with it. But right now, you guys got to listen to my suck. So, pretty much, the big picture of what we're trying to do with the troubleshooting process is diagnose what is the cause of the malfunction or the reason to the problem. Your foot hurts, it's probably because you stubbed your toe. That's what we're trying to figure out here. Alright? So, it's good rule of mind is if you have a customer who doesn't generally speak gun, which is the majority of the world, they're not going to know what you mean if you're saying firing, unlocking, extracting, ejecting, cocking, feeding, chamber, locking, double feeding, magazine malfunction. If you start rattling the things that come to your mind to be default terms to where you know or what to talk about, if they don't know it, well, then you're going to have to improvise. All right? You're going to have to try to compel and try to read and come to an even baseline of communication so that way you can figure out what's wrong, they can learn something new, and also they don't have something that's going to blow up in their face. All right? We want a gun that works. We don't want a gun that turns into a pipe bomb. Simple enough, right? So, if it comes down to, for an example, let's do failure to fire with this M16. Alright, so let's slow her down. We have her slowed down. Alright, we're going to fire. And we're going to go. Let it run through the cycle operations. Boom, awesome. Hey, we got the first step. Alright, firing. Let's stop before it starts going into unlocking. So let's say this person's rifle is having difficulty firing. Well, while we're troubleshooting, we can figure it out by if the customer's saying, I squeeze the trigger, gun don't go bang. Cool. Awesome. Breaking it down. Alright, so we can take that information and non-gun related jargon to figure out what's going on. They squeeze the trigger. Alright, cool. Let's think here. Alright, generally we're going to be working in this area. Alright. Gun don't go bang. Alright, so what part of that is related to the gun going bang? Alright, so while we're going in, obviously the first thing we are going to do when we have a gun in front of us is to clear it, put it in a safe condition. Alright, obviously with this, it's going to be remove the source of the ammunition, charge the weapon to the rear, visually and physically inspect the chamber, magazine well to make sure there's no magical rounds that will fly themselves back in there. If there is, we'll safely remove them. Alright? If this weapon just has a stuck cartridge and the bolt's not going to the rear and it's just job to mess up, put it in the safest possible condition that you can. Alright? And make sure that you're well aware of what's going on, who's around you. Alright? Get that weapon into a safe location to where you can properly clear it and then fix it. Alright? So, back to the failure to fire. Or pull the trigger, gun no go bang. I'm sorry, it's hot as can be out here. Now, if we take this and we zoom into here, major components that would commonly lead to a problem of failing to fire. It will be, let me pull up these part names so you guys can visually see besides me just saying words. We're going to have your hammer spring, and then we're also going to have your trigger spring. Alright, if these things are worn, or commonly when someone is trying to disassemble their fire control group, they'll accidentally leave one half of the spring dangling, or common if they have a very cheap like wish.com hammer spring, it'll break right here just from being worn, or somewhere over here. Alright, now that's a common area for that. Make sure you're looking down in there to inspect that. There might be buildup of debris or carbon within the bolt carrier group that is preventing the firing pin from actually protruding far enough to hit it. In this area right here, when you remove the firing pin from the bolt carrier group, you're going to see a large buildup of carbon, debris, oil, gunk, whatever decided to fly in there, it's going to love to sit there. All right, so if you have the ability to, if the customer happened to bring in some brass or whatever and it happens to be slightly dented where you are experiencing light strikes, that might be the culprit or the reason of the location. It might be the springs within there. It might be that the hammer is chasing or it's not connecting to the disconnector. All right. Otherwise, you can pull the firing pin out, inspect to make sure that you don't have a sharp pointy bit that's over penetrating, or you just have a broken firing pin, or your bolt cam pin's messed up. Work from what you know and then expound upon it. All right. Focus on the area that most likely is going to be the problem, and then work into the things that completely don't make sense. All right, you never know. The Dagum extractor might be dented, and it just straight up is just sitting over the like the hole for the firing pin on the bolt. All right, never discount the most random things. All right, so the big picture of that is to have the ability to speak to your customer, to diagnose that problem, have the ability to understand slang terms and other verbiages that don't coincide directly with what it is. All right, most people don't crack open gun TMs about normal firearm things. Most people don't watch it. Their general form of information about guns is movies and whatever their grandpa taught them. All right, it's like my peepaw called the trigger the daggum pulley stick thing. You never know. You got to work from there and have the ability to be patient and understanding for when people simply just don't know. All right. If people just insist on not wanting to know, hey, you can't control people's minds. And if you do, please teach me. So, hope you guys are having a lovely day. And as always, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Never punch a weapon at anything not intended to shoot. Keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Keep your weapon unsafe until you intend to fire. Know your target lies beyond and in between. And have a safe day. Check down in those comments. All right, that information might not be for you, but it might be for someone you know. Make sure you're paying attention to everybody. Even though we're slowly exiting out of the weird world of 2020 and 2021, we're still having those scars. So make sure you, your neighbors, and your families and friends are doing good. And I'd like to wish a happy belated birthday to my fellow brothers in arms inside the Marine Corps. Hoorah.
Welcome to Dan Doc's channel. Oh yeah, welcome to Dan Doc's channel.